I'm Stacy Keach. Join me right now for Mysterious Places as we travel to the Mediterranean island of Crete.
On a mountainous island in the Mediterranean, where legend says the great Zeus was born, ancient ruins and frescoes sweep us back to antiquity, to the great Minoan civilization. More than 2,000 years before Plato, they built bewildering labyrinthine palaces, engaged in death-defying rituals. And then, 3,000 years ago, vanished inexplicably. Here on the island of Crete, our search for the Minoans begins in the ancient city of Knossos.
When the legendary King Minos of Crete refused to sacrifice a bull to the god Poseidon, the god took his revenge. He forced Minos' wife to lust after the animal. The result of this union was a horrifying creature, half man, half bull. But how does one control such a creature? King Minos built a labyrinth, an intricate maze where the monster was imprisoned and fed human flesh. The stuff of fantasy? Perhaps. But early this century, archaeologists on Crete uncovered the lost city of Knossos, built in the form of a maze.
And the poet lingers, looking at the stones, and asks himself, does there really exist among these ruined lines, edges, points, hollows, and curves? Does there really exist here where one meets the path of rain, wind, and ruin?
Long ago, Greece and the Greek islands were home to the world's first poet-philosophers. Here lie the very roots of Western civilization. Crete, the largest Greek island, was once the center of the great Minoan civilization. 5,000 years ago, the palace cities of the Minoans spread out across the island. Here bloomed a culture equal in achievement and influence to those of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. This culture would thrive for 2,000 years. Although the Minoan Empire would eventually fall, its cities and palaces to be buried and lost for centuries, there are enough surviving clues to offer a picture of life in Minoan culture as it was lived over 5,000 years ago on the island of Crete. The bustling port of Heraklion on the northern coast is Crete's largest city. Two and a half miles inland, you discover what was once the very heart of the Minoan culture, the palace city of Knossos. The expansive labyrinth of buildings and courts covers 6 acres and spans 5,000 years. For Andreas Eleferantis, a local guide and native of Crete, the ruins at Knossos reveal an intricate web of life.
Knossos is the outcome of generations and generations of masons and people living here. The background of Knossos goes back to 6000 BC, and the latest of Knossos is 1300 BC. So there we have 5,000 entire years of building, rebuilding, repairing, perfectioning, and making it better and better with the ages passing. So there we have the memory, or better, the inheritance of all these people.
I'm going to direct you to the major areas of the palace that we have discussed in the class. Okay?
The writings, philosophies, and dramas of classical Greek culture have been handed down to us intact. But it wasn't until the late 19th century that modern man caught his first glimpse into Minoan lifestyles. In 1894, British archaeologist Sir Arthur Evans came to Crete in search of ancient Mycenaean ruins. With a contingent of 30 workers, he began digging. After only 5 days, he uncovered enough to know it was one of the finds of the century. He had uncovered a civilization older than the Mycenaeans, a civilization that would shed new light on the origins of European civilization. Today, Knossos is the largest, most investigated Minoan site, and a source of mystery for Nicholas Germanicos, a poet with a love of Greek history.
We know nothing about these people except what these stones reveal.
Entering the palace, you're greeted by powerful images of Minoan bulls. Some say the angry beast in this reconstructed fresco is a tribute offered by the Minoan cult of the bull, a cult with its roots in the myth of King Minos and the Minotaur. According to myth, Minos was the king of Crete and the son of Zeus. When Minos refused to sacrifice a bull to Poseidon, the god of the sea had Minos' wife fall in love with the bull. She gave birth to a creature half man, half bull, the Minotaur. Minos kept the bull trapped in an intricate labyrinth built beneath his palace. As archaeologist Arthur Evans dug in the late 19th century, hundreds of rooms were uncovered, and this myth of the labyrinth and the bull became real before his eyes. He believed this was the city of the legendary King Minos, and he dubbed the civilization Minoan. Today you get a sense of the city's vastness by walking through the central court, once the nucleus of the palaces. From this central point, the labyrinth spreads ever wider, with rooms and passageways leading to every sector of the palace. It is in the throne room that archaeologists discovered one of the most remarkable artifacts at Knossos, a throne believed to be one of the oldest in Europe, made of solid gypsum. At Knossos, you can uncover other clues to the Minoan character.
They were gatherers, they were farmers and shepherds and gatherers of things. They loved a good party. They must have loved their ceremonies and their games.
Nicholas Germanicos believes that the Minoan joy of living is expressed in the paintings.
That famous fresco of the Prince of the Lilies, as he's called. I mean, whoever saw a prince walking among lilies? They're usually armed to the teeth.
But some feel Minoan society was as complex as its labyrinthine palaces. That this joyous spirit is in stark contrast to a darker side. That the Minoans may have practiced violent rituals.
Stay with us as we continue our investigation of the ancient mysteries of Crete.
Here's a mysterious places travel tip. The principal arrival point on the island of Crete is Heraklion Airport, with up to 8 daily flights from the Greek mainland. Once there, guided tours are available, as well as jeep, car, and motorbike rental. Depending on the season, ferry service is also available to Crete from Cyprus, Israel, Turkey, and Egypt.
We're back in Greece with the ancient mysteries of Crete.
They are called the Bee People, their slim, belted waists creating an air of elegance and delicacy. This is the image of the Minoan people that Sir Arthur Evans created from fragments of original paintings at Knossos. The paintings reveal that the Minoans were a striking people, but tell us nothing about their character. Were they as gentle, as peace-loving as some assume? Nicholas Germanicos believes so. He points out that researchers have never found the remains of city walls at Knossos nor any other sites.
What we do know for sure is that they did not feel threatened, and therefore they could develop a kind of spirit, a sense of security and a sense of comfort.
You can see the Minoan sense of comfort reflected in their architecture, which concentrates more on aesthetics than on defense. The use of varied floor levels, windows, and a light well help illuminate the recreated frescoes in the palace's restored western wing. The Minoans also created extensive drainage and plumbing systems with stone shafts, ducts, and pipes. The size and intricacy of the palace at Knossos suggests it was the political, religious, and strategic center of the Minoan Empire. Yet when you travel outside this ancient city, across the mountains that dissect Crete on the southern coast, you'll come upon a low summit with the ruins of another great Minoan city. This is Festos. The palace here is less complex, yet it offers a special glimpse into Minoan life. In 1903, archaeologists sifting through the ruins here discovered a unique artifact. A clay disc bearing pictographic inscriptions. The Festos disc is the most remarkable Minoan literary document. To Andreas Eleferantis, it is one of the most enigmatic.
It represents a mystery. Certainly is not deciphered. They think that this text could be something like a poem where we see a rhythmic repetition, a leitmotif, or even some music composed.
Another intriguing aspect of Festos involves the large courtyard where it is said ancient Minoans once performed sacred bull games, games which may have been a form of human sacrifice. A fresco from Knossos illustrates the stages of bull leaping. As the beast charges, a successful leaper grabs the horns, somersaults onto the bull's back, and dismounts with a flip. Some have speculated that participants killed by the bull were offered as human sacrifices. Archaeologist Antonis Vaskalatos believes the Minoans did practice human sacrifice.
Fact was that they had blood sacrifice of animals and perhaps sometime of people, but in very special, in very unique occasions.
These unique circumstances usually involved a sacrifice to appease the gods after a great earthquake or other natural disaster. While the tradition of bull leaping has not survived, you'll still find ancient Minoan pottery making, which reached artistic heights in Festos. These large clay jugs, called pithos, offer a tangible legacy of the once vibrant Minoan culture. A culture that for some inexplicable reason met a tragic destiny here in the mountainous countryside of Crete. Visiting Crete's southern coast by the Libyan Sea, you come upon the sleepy ruins of the ancient city of Knossos, marking the once active harbor of Festos. A few miles away lies Agia Triada, which is thought to have been a summer residence for kings of Festos. Among the ruins of Agia Triada, archaeologists have found some of the finest Minoan works of art. Frescoes, stone vases, and vessels for offerings to the chief Minoan deity, the mother goddess. The remains of gypsum floors and benches still reflect the opulence of once grand palaces. But go beyond the immediate site, among the wild flowers and the olive groves, and you'll discover intriguing clues to another side of Minoan life. It is here that the Minoans buried their dead, in cemeteries and tombs outside the town limits. It is here, ironically, in death, that you find reflected the joyful Minoan view of life, which inspires poet Nicholas Germanicos.
They didn't put death's heads on the coffin or, I don't know, gruesome or morbid pictures. They put sort of dancing octopuses and peacocks and birds flying around. It was as though these people, for some reason which we don't know, since they left no written records, were absolutely bubbling with life.
Among different types of graves, the so-called beehive tombs were once round stone structures with a dome at the top. Megalithic doorways led within to the vaults. The coffins were often large jugs, oval bathtubs, or rectangular chests. These finds illustrated the very high level of cultural achievement. But despite these great Minoan achievements, despite their zest for life and their passion for art and architecture, their civilization was not to last. Around 1300 BC, the Minoan palace civilization inexplicably vanished. For more than a century, archaeologists like Antonis Vaskalatos have been struggling to answer the question, why? Most agree that a natural disaster, such as an earthquake or volcanic eruption, may have devastated the palaces. But Vaskalatos is not convinced this is the sole reason for the collapse of the Minoans.
There were more factors. One, perhaps, and the most important to my opinion, is the internal collapse of the society, which means the economic collapse.
Vaskalatos believes that with the economic collapse came internal chaos, leaving the cities vulnerable.
The society collapsed, and in that decay, in the period of decay, we cannot exclude enemy attack or perhaps enemy attack from outside Crete or even from inside Crete.
One thing archaeologists do agree on: fire ultimately destroyed the palaces of the Minoans. You can still see evidence today of burning throughout Knossos, especially in the storage areas where the great jugs of olive oil would have easily ignited. Today, 3,000 years after the demise of the Minoan civilization, its legacy keeps drawing us in. Their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas, their tolerant, joyful way of life.
We have some pictorial evidence. We have evidence of their architecture, but we don't know what informed these people, what kept them going, their religion, their ideology, their sense of mission in the world. What were they here for?
From Aia Triada to Festos to Knossos. Poets, scholars, students, and travelers alike still search the stones for the lost Minoans.
Asininte. Would that it were the king of Asini we've been searching for so carefully on this Acropolis, sometimes touching with our fingers his touch upon the stone.
Even with the wealth of archaeological evidence available, we may never know for sure which elements of the Greek myths are based on historical facts and which are merely products of the imagination. Until next time, I'm Stacy Keach for Mysterious Places.